Hello everyone! I welcome you all to our webinar today. My name is Isabel. In a few minutes, I will be extending a warm welcome to Daniel Mikolait with today's topic, Efficient ELO Integrations with M365. Here's a little more information for you before we start. You will be muted during the webinar, but are welcome to ask your question in the question box at any time. After the webinar, we will of course take the time to answer them. You hardly need to take notes. You'll receive the training materials relatively soon. And now the moment we have been waiting for. I welcome Daniel. Daniel, I hand over to you now.
Thank you, Isabel, and a warm welcome from me to all participants today. It's a pleasure for me to present you our ELO integrations with a bit more technical background for you as a business partners. So you can get the most out of our Microsoft integrations in your customer projects. So let's start with the webinar. A short overview of the topics we have today. There will be a small introduction. Then we'll talk about your experiences with ELO and Microsoft 365. We'll head over to the Azure administration in the ELO administration console. I'll also show you how you can configure manually the ELO authentication and the entire application proxy. We'll have a look at the ELO Bot for Microsoft Teams, the feature sharing Teams, check out to OneDrive Business, the all-new ELO Sync for Microsoft 365, which is really a highlight. And last but not least, don't forget the desktop client, which is a very nice and handy tool when your customers work with the Office applications installed on their desktop. Okay, a small introduction. My name is Daniel Mikolait. I work for ELO for almost 20 years now. I'm head of the competence center for Microsoft and email. So my job is to take care of all integrations that we have with Microsoft and email products, for example, Office, Exchange, Teams, and so on. And as part of the introduction, we have prepared a small questionnaire for you. So it's time to pick up your mobile phone and take part in this online poll. Just scan the QR code that you see, and please give your answers as precisely as possible in the form that will then be displayed. The answers are anonymous, so we don't see a name or email address, who clicked on the link and who gave which answer. So that's completely safe and secure, your personal data. But it's of interest for us all to know what experiences do you have with our ELO integrations for Microsoft 365. So please start your answers now. And of course, you will receive the aggregated answers of this poll together with the presentation slides. Live answers should be visible in a couple of seconds normally. So no experiences here. Nobody knows the application proxy. And we have no answer here. So come on, I think there could be more. Okay, only 2 answers. Nothing there. Okay, so that's pretty new. Normally, we get at least 1 or 2 votes for at least one of those ELO integrations. So, okay, then let's start with the Azure administration. What is the ELO Azure administration? ELO Azure administration means that we simplified the setup for app registrations in Microsoft Azure. App registrations are the point to go when you need to integrate something with Microsoft Azure or Microsoft 365. So what did we do? We took the ELO Azure Administration Service as part of the setup. So you can just install it and we'll have an icon in the administration console. There's a good documentation how to create the app registration that you need. You need one app registration that is created manually. And then you can configure the ELO Auth and the ELO Bot for Microsoft Teams to the Azure administration. And of course, there's a continuous improvement. So with the next ELO versions, we will do more and more integration with the Azure Administration Service. So let's go to our live system that you can see how the Azure Administration looks. I open the browser. There we have the ELO Administration Console. And here under servers, there's the icon for configuration for Microsoft Azure. This asks for a sign-in because it only makes sense to do Azure stuff when we have a login. So for security reasons, click on sign in. And because the browser has saved my access token, it's just a single sign-on. I just have to click the button. And here, for example, you see the ELO Bot, which has been registered. And what has been done here with this registration is to deploy the bot service on Azure and also create the appropriate URLs and everything automatically. To add a new service, just click on the left. And here we could go to the ELO Auth. ELO Auth is this, the service which is the base component that we need when we work with Microsoft integrations. ELO Auth is a plugin for the index server, and it enables ELO users to log in with their Microsoft Work or School account to ELO. So you don't have to remember a separate password for ELO. You just sign in through Microsoft Entra ID. So, and here you could then fill out all data which is required for the ELO Auth plugin to work. And at last step, we register this service in Microsoft Azure. I will not click now because it's configured in another way in this demo system, just to show you how you could achieve this. So let's go back to our slides. So you can find the documentation for the ELO Azure administration here under this link. It's in the docs.elo.com, where all ELO documentation can be found. And I think this should be pretty easy for everybody who has done ELO administration before to understand. So ELO Azure administration is just another piece of software we have written that you can access through the administration console. A bit more demanding, but for the guys who like to do things manually, to know what exactly works behind the scene, I show you how you can manually configure ELO Auth and the Entra application proxy. It is normally very easy. You create an app registration in Azure with only the right user read. Then you get the app ID, the tenant ID, and a secret. And with these three data, you can edit the config file, which is a JSON file, which lies either in the ELO repository. This is very important for cloud environments where you cannot access the physical files on the system, for example, running in a container. Or you can go to a config file which is under the config directory of the index server. So and there you have this JSON file where you put the configuration in. This file is very simple. Just look at the upper half of this file where it says Azure AD. This is the name of the configuration. Mapping mail means that the mapping between an ELO user and the Azure user is based on the email address. The API, of course, for the auth plugin is Azure, that the auth plugin knows to connect to which backend service. And then you have the application key, the application secret, and the Azure tenant. Those three IDs have to be filled in here. And I show you now where you can find those. Let's go to the Azure portal. Go to Entra ID. There you have app registrations. And this, for example, let's go to this one. Yeah, there's a certificate or secret expired that doesn't matter yet. It's just an example to show you where you find the information. So this is the application or client ID. Then we have the tenant ID. Those two you can find here. And then you need a secret. A secret can just be created by clicking on a new client secret. And then it's very important that you copy the value. The value here is shortened because you only see the value of the secret once. So when you create the new client secret, just click here, just click on add, and now you have a new secret here. Copy this immediately and then put it in the configuration file. And because when you leave this page, the next time you come here, for example, when you go there and go back to certificates or do a refresh, then it will disappear. So since this is a live system, I just will delete this one so no one can use it. So with these three, with the secret and the application ID and the tenant ID in the config file for the ELO Auth plugin, you are able to log in to Microsoft Azure with your ELO users. And let's go to the user administration. We have the mapping on the email address. So let's go, for example, to John Doe. and John Doe's email address is this one. And this has to be the same email address that is registered under the user in Entra ID. I say Entra ID, it's formerly known as Azure AD. Microsoft renamed Azure AD half a year ago to Entra ID. So just make sure that this email address, and additionally, it's very helpful to have the UPN of the user as a Windows user in here. So the mapping between the ELO auth, the Microsoft user, and the ELO user is done via the email address. And if the email address doesn't match, the user can't log in. So there's another part. Let's go back to the presentation. There's another part here, which is called the Azure AD Web App Proxy. The Azure Application Proxy comes in very handy if you want to secure your on-premises ELO installation to the outside. So if you have external access, and nowadays a lot of people need external access to on-prem systems like ELO and others, there are two possibilities how to access them, either through a VPN connection or direct access by drilling holes in the firewall. So this would mean you open up your application directly to the internet, which is what nobody wants. It makes you vulnerable for denial of service attacks, to brute force password attacks, and whatever. So the securest and easiest way to have an on-prem application publicly for all your users available through the cloud is using a proxy. And Azure provides the so-called Entra application proxy, which was called Azure Application Proxy before they renamed everything to Entra. It was called Azure Application Proxy, and it works pretty easy. You just need to install a connector. I show you where you do the configuration just now in the Azure portal. Let's go back here. There in Entra ID, you have the application proxy. This is where you configure some basic settings for a connector group default. This is here by default. And the next step would be to download a connector service. This is a small download, few megabytes, and you just install it on a Windows server in your local environment. I have it on this server here. You can find it under services. It should be seen here. Just a second. There are a lot of services. Here. We have the Microsoft AAD application proxy connector and the updater. So those services are installed automatically through the setup package that you download. And there's only one thing you have to do when setting up the connector on your local server. Just enter username and password for an administrator. So it does the authentication. And if it's a user in Entra ID that is allowed to create some stuff, normally it should be a global administrator that does this setup. So then this system is already registered and configured to connect to the Azure Application Proxy. So this is what has to be done on the local side. And from here, you can go to configure an app. I already did that. And we see this app then here under enterprise application, and I called it ELO client app proxy. And we go to the settings, and there you see the internal URL of the system you want to access from the outside. So I took the local host port 9093 and the /index server. This is important because we have the index server here in the base internal URL. Nobody using the proxy could access your entire Tomcat server. That's an additional security measurement that we can take care of here. Of course, it will work if you leave this out, but it's more secure if you only allow connections to the index server and not to the whole Tomcat. And then we have the external URL, which consists of a part that you can choose freely, this one here, ELO client, and a part that you can choose, which is defined by the domains you have registered with the Azure tenant or not. Here in this case, I don't have any custom domain. It's the default on Microsoft com domain, and it's the MS App Proxy net domain. The on Microsoft com domain cannot be used here. So if you don't have a custom domain, just use the msAppProxy.net domain, and it will create a subdomain automatically, depending on what you enter here. The very nice thing about this is that if you use the msAppProxy.net domain, you don't have to take care about any SSL certificates because Microsoft provides a wildcard certificate with wildcard.msAppProxy.net. Very important here is a feature called pre-authentication with Entra ID, which means before a user will get access to the back-end application, in this case ELO, the Microsoft Azure App Proxy will authenticate the user. And you then have the possibility to tell the app proxy which users are allowed to access ELO. So under users and groups here in the client app proxy configuration, you define which users or groups are able to access the application behind. Then there are some settings under advanced. For high security, just check all boxes here and leave out the validate backend SSL certificate because here with a local host, this is a self-signed certificate and it will fail the check. So you can leave this empty. This is only of interest if you use publicly valid certificates from a provider. You could even leave out the SSL encryption here, but I think it's more secure to have SSL always on. But it would work. So for a demo scenario, you could even use HTTP without the S and go to the normal TCP port 9090 of the Tomcat. But I don't recommend that. So just use SSL wherever possible. Just leave out the validate of the backend certificate. So, and with this configured, you can then access all ELO applications through this external URL. And this is a very high secure access and also very easy for the users because they don't even notice that it's there. They just do their authentication like they do with other Microsoft applications. They do it with ELO. And then we have set up the server side. And now let's go back how to use this in clients. In the web client, you can pre-configure this. On the status page of the web client, there's a configuration link. There is a parameter which is called use ELO auth. You type in the name of the ELO auth config. This is what we had in the file before. You remember here, for example, it was Azure AD, or with the web app proxy, Azure AD web app proxy. This is the name of the configuration. You can have as many configurations as you like in this ELO auth config file. Very important is when you use the Azure Application Proxy. This is why we have the second one here. There is something called fixed callback URL. Since the index server doesn't know the external URL of the app proxy, you have to tell it here. So HTTPS and then the URL you just copied from the app proxy configuration. So I go back to the live system. And let's go to the client. So this is how it works. Just refresh the page here. I open the web client URL as I would regularly. And you see it is the app proxy URL that we have here. And when we open the status page, for this I need an administrator, so I go back to the server to show you where to put in the configuration. So open the web client here, web status. There's to change settings, administrative login. And here's this parameter name, use ELO auth. The value is the name of the config ID from the config file. You should then click on save. And to work everything smooth, I recommend to restart the Tomcat now when you've made this change. So everything will work afterwards. And it's very similar with the Java client and desktop client. There we have the ELO client somewhere. ELO. I go to the profiles, Control P. And this is then the URL for the index server. You see nothing new here. It's the MS App Proxy, then the auth plugin. Client URL is always native because it's a native client application. And you have the config ID here, Azure AD App Proxy, like in the example. This is all in the slides and also in the documentation how to configure the ELO Java client with this. Okay, let's proceed. A few words on the Entra application proxy. It's not an ELO product. It's Azure. It's an Azure product, a security product from Microsoft. The cost, you need at least an Entra ID P1 license, which costs around $6 per user in a month. For fully managed firewall, I think that's a no-brainer. And of course, a lot of customers already have a license for Entra ID P1, which is included in the Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 licenses. Check the Office suite that the customer has subscribed to, and then you know if this license for the application proxy is already included. On most customers, it is. So it is very user-friendly, and you have the enhanced security. You can use the multi-factor authentication, conditional access, and everything for your on-premise ELO. And the very nice thing is that you don't have to make a lot of changes. If you've done it once, it takes you 15 minutes to set up the Entra application proxy with an ELO system if nothing special has to be considered. So to show you a more plastic way how the application proxy works. You see on the local infrastructure below the red line, there's the ELO ECM system, and your clients can be accessed to HTTPS on-prem locally. And on the Azure side, you have the Entra application proxy. And all client users, either from Java client, web client, or desktop client, now it includes also the mobile devices apps for Android and iOS. So all those first they connect to the Entra application proxy, and the local connector service creates a tunnel for this application from the inside to the outside. So you don't have to open any ingoing ports on the firewall, which is very nice for administrators and gives the customer a good feeling. So this is how this works. And the Entra application proxy filters all denial of service attacks and other stuff that you don't want to enter your local infrastructure. So I think it's a no-brainer to enhance the security of your on-premise client installation. And of course, the authentication is transparent. So if a user is already logged in on the system, it works very well for a single sign-on. There are two documentation links, one for the ELO Auth plugin. This is also in the ELO docs, and the Entra application proxy, surprise, surprise, is documented under learn.microsoft.com. And there is a good overview and some examples how to set up the application proxy and what you should consider when using it. Now let's go to our ELO Bot for Microsoft Teams. The ELO Bot is not like ChatGPT, but the ELO Bot is a very handy tool for users. Their daily business is not working in ELO all day long. It's for users that work most of their time in Teams and other Microsoft applications. So from Teams, they can use the bot to search documents in ELO. The bot will send notifications when there are new tasks to complete, workflows, and so on. And you can do some stuff in there like trigger a business solution or ELO flows. So for example, if you use ELO contract, then you could create a contract from within Teams. And the bot can be available in a personal chat, and you can also add it in a team or in a group chat. And on top of that, the bot is able to switch between repositories. So you can configure repositories that the bot can connect to. So for example, if people work in a bigger company with more ELO repositories and they need access 2 or 3 repositories, so you can configure the bot to work with all of them, and you just switch in the bot user interface in Teams which repository it should work in the current session with. And that you can get an impression how this looks. We will leave the presentation again and go to Teams. I have the bot here. The bot is like a chat partner. So here with the logon information, takes some seconds. Sometimes the Microsoft bot engine is a bit laggy, and it could also be that we have to restart. You see it's all live in our demo system here. So I just restart the bot service. And then try again. Yeah, there we are. And there you can choose the repository. I choose this one and click on OK. And now I'm able to do stuff with the bot. When typing at ELO, then you could do a search. For example, I look for revenues. Revenues are always good. There are some emails and the document. So there it is. Here I have two possibilities. We call this an adaptive card. The adaptive card can be copied and sent to other people. So just click on copy and could post this in a chat, or could directly open this document in the web client. It performs a single sign-on. I'm already logged in through Microsoft, and here we are. We have our revenues table found directly through the bot. So it can do more than a search. Just go in to add ELO and to solutions. And there you see all the solutions that are available. And I could then create a new contract, for example, and I get the ELO form. I choose a subscription. And normally this should display the ELO form for a new subscription if there's one. Okay. So, and when we go here, there you see a reminder for a task. So the bot tells us the following task has been assigned to you in ELO, and you just click on open it in the web client, and it jumps to the tasks. So you see, the bot is not something like ChatGPT, but it is a very handy tool to integrate into Teams. Well, the administration and the creation of the bot goes also through the ELO Azure administration, and we'll follow this here. In the Azure app, in the Azure administration, in the ELO admin console. Okay, it's a tongue breaker. We have created the bot. Just click on add a service, choose the ELO bot. What you need is the base URL for the bot service and an index server URL. And the base URL for the bot service is also made available through the Azure application proxy. So if you have already configured the application proxy for your users to sign in, you just create another app in the application proxy, and then the URL will be the ELO Teams bot. And let's have a look over there. Just go back to the server environment. In the enterprise applications, I created the ELO Teams bot proxy. This is a separate URL. You see also the internal URL is different. It points to the bot service which runs on the ELO server, so it's another port. And very important here for the bot service is that you set the pre-authentication to pass through. Why? Because this bot service has to be publicly reachable that it works. That's by design. So the Microsoft bot engine, which runs on Azure, must be able to connect to this without any pre-authentication in between, because it's a server process that connects. So you could switch this to pass through, and then have you have here the external URL that you enter in the configuration as a base URL for the Teams bot. Here. Then you add a repository. This is the index server URL and the web client URL. This can be the internal URL because the bot is on the same network as the ELO, so as the ELO index server. So this is fine. And when you've done with deployment and registration, then you have your Teams manifest zip. And this zip file is then uploaded to the Teams configuration. So this is done either in the Microsoft Admin Center for Teams, or can be also done from a Teams client if you have administrative access. And this will then publish the bot in Teams. And I show you how this looks when we go to Teams. The Teams bot will then be here. This is the overview, the permissions it needs, and some information about the provider, which is ELO, and that's it. And of course, there's a very good documentation how to configure the bot and everything. You might have guessed it in docs.elo.com. Another feature when we talk about Teams is sharing Teams. Sharing Teams lets you very easily share information, be it just one document or whole folder structure in Teams without giving up security. With sharing Teams, you can make ELO folders available in Teams chats or in Teams groups. It has a document preview version function. You can upload new versions of documents. You can go to files via the web client and do some more stuff there. You can even upload files via drag and drop into those sharing Teams clients. What is behind it technology-wise? So it's not so easy to implement in well, you need the integration client. Most ELO installations already have the integration client within. If you have the web client, then a web client license, then the integration client normally is automatically installed. It's part of the ELO WF service. You need to set up a single page application in Azure. So normally you already have done this because you have the app registration for the login. So you can do it the same way for this. It needs some rights, some API permissions on the Azure side. Then it needs the configuration of the integration client in ELO for Teams. And then there is a client plugin for the Share in Teams button and a small web page to host. It can be on the ELO Tomcat, it can be in Azure, it can be somewhere else, but it must be accessible for internal and external users. So on hosting it as a small Azure website should be enough. This is also very well documented. You might have guessed it, it's on the docs.elo.com. And I'll then show you how to use sharing Teams. We have our Teams client here. We have a team for accounting, for example, and I want these example documents be visible in Teams. So just click on Share in Teams. A new window will open up. It's a single sign-on for our user John Doe. I choose the team, it's accounting. In the general channel, the name of the tab is example documents. By default, it's the folder name of ELO, and create a tab in Microsoft Teams. And with one click, it jumps to Teams and opens this tab here. So there's the integration client. There we have all our documents. There's our revenue document. I can have the preview of the document here. I could save it locally on the desktop, could upload a new version or jump to the web client. Just let's do this. Web client jumps right away to our revenues Excel spreadsheet just from Teams. I think this is a very nice way to work with Teams and documents. And of course, that this works, you need the sign-in through Microsoft with the ELO Auth plugin. And I highly recommend to use it together with the application proxy. You can also configure the ELO the Azure Entra application proxy to work with the ELO integration client. So you have high secure access. All ELO ACLs are in place. So there is no danger that any document will be shared with people that don't have access to it in ELO. So if they have access in ELO, they can access documents through this in Teams. If they don't have access in ELO, they would see an empty folder, for example. So this is highly secure and a very convenient way to easily share information with other people via Teams. So yeah, you get the slides so you don't have to take pictures of the URLs. So it's everything in one place then for you. Next feature, the checkout to OneDrive business. All of you know the normal ELO checkout. So when you work with a document, for example, in the web client, you have to check it out, have to download it, open it in your Office application, save the document, and upload it again. So we've been looking for a way to make this more elegant and more easy for the users. So we have the feature called Checkout to OneDrive Business. Checkout to OneDrive Business is a no-brainer to set up. If you've set up the authentication with the ELO Auth plugin, you just have to add another plugin to the index server and set 2 or 3 API permissions on the app registration. Then you have the following. When you click on Checkout to OneDrive, the document is uploaded to the user's OneDrive for Business via the index server. You can then edit the document in a browser tab, and when you check it back in, it is deleted from OneDrive Business. And I show you how this works in the live system. Just let's take this Excel sheet with the revenues. I like revenues and I like checkout to OneDrive. So I put checkout to OneDrive and share in Teams here to my favorites. So one click on checkout to OneDrive, some magic happens. And what we have now is our Excel sheet in Excel Online opened. I could do some changes here. For example, change the color to yellow. And you see it just saved. So you don't have to click on save. That's absolutely cool what Microsoft did here. So it's enough to just close it here. And you also see the document is checked out by John Doe. And if I switch off the image preview, you see the document was checked out to OneDrive. And by clicking on show, you go back to this document and can can start working on it again. So just let's close this, and you now do just a normal upload and check in. Just click on upload and check in. Could put in a version comment here, or just click the button. Now the document is removed from OneDrive Business. We have a new working version of the document, here version 129. And after a short refresh, we also have the new version of the document in the preview. You see the headline is now yellow. So this is a checkout to OneDrive Business. When checking out a document, let's go to this one. It's a Word document, checkout to OneDrive. You can use all OneDrive features, for example, sharing the document and work with other people on it at the same time. And when you're finished with the collaboration on the document, everybody has to close the browser tab, and you can then do the check-in again. And it's very nice because this works across all clients. So you can start working on a document by checking it out in the web client to OneDrive, and then close the web client, go to another machine, log on to the Java client, for example, and go to your documents that are currently in works. Open it. It will open in OneDrive, and you can proceed with the document after completing check-in from whatever client you like. So, and when you cancel the editing, I didn't make any changes here. It's also back, but we don't have a new version. It's like a normal checkout, but comes in very handy. So for this, another advantage is you don't need to have your Office installed as a local app on your system. It works with the web version, and normally you can do all the stuff in the web version. There are only a few differences that the web application of Excel, for example, can't do, that only the desktop app of Excel can do. So configuration, yeah, you need the ELO auth. Of course, you need to have a OneDrive for Business license, which is included in almost all Microsoft Office 365 licenses. You need some extra rights for the app registration in Azure, files read write app folder, and OpenID. And you need the Office 365 Sync plugin for the ELO index server, which is standard plugin. It doesn't need any other configuration. That's important at this side. You don't have to put some URLs or something like that in a configuration file. Just the plugin has to be there. ELO auth has to be configured, and you need the rights on the app registration. Also well documented on, guess what, docselo.com. Now let's go ELO Sync for Microsoft 365. This is pretty new. It's a bidirectional integration to sync documents with SharePoint and OneDrive Business and ELO. You can synchronize entire folder structures. You can publish documents on SharePoint. You can do SharePoint archiving with it with SharePoint Online. And because all Microsoft applications store their stuff in SharePoint, we see this as a basic technology to integrate all Microsoft 365 apps with ELO on a document level. There's a preview version you can download from the support web. And there's also, of course, the documentation, how this works. And I'll give you a short overview what ELO Sync can do. Let's go to the server. ELO Sync is a Windows service, but also available in a Linux version. So you can run it in a Docker container, for example. Here it's a Windows machine, and this is why I run it as a Windows service. ELO Sync also needs, it needs a restart. I see. ELO Sync. Restart. Let's go to ELO Sync again. ELO Sync also works with a Microsoft login. When I click here via single sign-on, it comes with a dashboard. Oh, sorry, I missed to switch the language, which I can do here. So let's have ELO Sync in English. ELO Sync starts with a dashboard. You can configure what you want to see on this dashboard. So with the Edit Dashboard switch here, there are a lot of widgets that you can have on the dashboard. So I've chosen the most useful ones for me: the status, mode, and possible conflicts. Here in ELO Sync, you configure what to sync in which direction with ELO and SharePoint. For example, I have a team space here, and I choose the ELO folder, browse to all the ELO folders. Here, and the corresponding SharePoint site, which I want to synchronize. So there we have a list of all SharePoint sites. We can apply a filter here. I pick this one, pick the SharePoint list, and tell ELO Sync when to sync. It's every hour. That's fine for me. Just click on save, and we have a sync job that does a bidirectional synchronization between ELO and SharePoint. Let's see how this looks. This is our SharePoint website with the document library. And we have these documents also in the ELO web client. Let's open up a web client. Let's go to this directly to this team space. And for example, we have some German documents in here, but I think you get the idea. So all these folders are synced with this one. So you see, we have the same folders in ELO and in SharePoint. And if there's a change, either in ELO or in SharePoint with the next synchronization, the content will be updated on either side. If there's a conflict, for example, when people change something on the same document in SharePoint and on the same document in ELO, and on the next synchronization, ELO Sync will show us a conflict here in the conflicts found section, and you then can choose which one shall be the current version in ELO. So no data is lost, but the one you choose will be the document with the highest version number, the working copy in ELO. And same goes to OneDrive. You can set up sync jobs here with your OneDrive and ELO. Also choose the direction, bidirectional, or just from OneDrive to ELO. If you just want to archive your OneDrive on a regular basis, then you do it here. And I invite you to test the preview of ELO Sync and give us your comments and experiences. So just go to the download section in the ELO partner portal and pick the preview version. And I think we'll have a release in 4 weeks. By the end of this quarter or beginning of next month, we will have a release. I guess will be mid of April at the moment. And of course, there's a documentation available. Sadly in German, but English documentation is in the works. So if you need this, just ask us and we'll provide you with the preliminary version of the documentation. So let's go back here, there's the documentation. Last but not least, last topic for today is the ELO desktop client. And the desktop client is just another ELO client. It's like the Java client. It's an installed application on the desktop. It connects to Office applications that are installed on the desktop. So it's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and OneNote. And just want to give you a sneak preview what the desktop client can do. So let's go back to the live system. We've seen ELO Sync. Let's go back to the client system. Here we have the ELO desktop client. ELO desktop client is a .NET application, so it's not Java, it's .NET. We have a Windows 365 environment here, so it's a virtual desktop in the cloud. So there you also see the login through the application proxy. So I don't have fields for username and password here, just log on. And the Microsoft login will appear. Just refreshes the token because I'm already signed in. So now I have the desktop client here. If you don't need it, it's very handy as a small sidebar, but you can open it this way. There you have all the tiles. There are your tasks you have in ELO. There's the search, of course, and you can browse the repository here. And then, for example, take the document with the revenues. It should be here. And also there's the checkout to OneDrive. And the desktop client does it very handy. It opens the web application in its own window. So you don't have a browser window here. It's a web view, but you don't have the browser with the address bar. You just work here like you would in an installed application. And you just close it and can do a regular check-in. And you then have the new version in the desktop client. When it comes to working with applications, for example, Outlook, the desktop client is able to detect the application you're working with. So it already knows I'm working in Outlook. Outlook takes some seconds. So here I have this email in the preview, and the desktop client knows that and offers me the possibility to save this Outlook item in ELO. If there are attachments or existing ELO entries, they will be shown here. Same goes with other Office applications. For example, if I open this PowerPoint, then the desktop client knows I'm working in PowerPoint and that this file is not filed in ELO, and I could move this one to ELO here. So depending on the application, the PowerPoint knows where I can work. And a very nice feature is working with the desktop client and OneNote. I need the full OneNote application. This one. And there, for example, we can file this OneNote notebook as a PDF, or we can just save the page in ELO, and we can keep this synchronized. So we can synchronize content between a OneNote that is in OneNote in the Microsoft 365 world, and also have a copy of it in ELO, a versioned copy of this OneNote in ELO. And the desktop client can sync the content between the live document and the archive document. So this is very, very nice to keep a version track of your OneNotes within ELO. Nobody has experience with the desktop client when I look at the data from the poll at the beginning of the webinar. So I really encourage you to check out the desktop client and its features and see if it is valuable for you and your customers working with Microsoft Office documents. Now we are at the end of the webinar, so thanks a lot for having us today. And if you have any questions, I see there's one question in the questions panel. Just let me read it. The question is, does ELO provide usable marketing video or slides for customers? Well, yes and no. We will provide marketing material. We will update the website very soon. There will be also a flyer with all Microsoft integrations that we have. And we will provide you with click-through PowerPoints, which are like a live presentation, but without a live system. So you can just use PowerPoint and have a clickable demo where you see how these components interact with each other. So this is for customer presentations that we will provide. But it is very important if you want to sell those solutions to the customers and implement them, that you have your own testing and demo environment. So everything, Entra ID, Microsoft 365, and all ELO integrations, and install them yourselves or let your technicians do that, so that you have the knowledge how to install, configure, and troubleshoot these integrations. If they work, it's very a dream to work with. If they don't work, it's very nasty. So you should be able to troubleshoot things also, not just to set it up. It's not a set it up and forget it. It's a set it up and run it continuously. So yes, we will provide appropriate marketing material and clickable demos, but it's also necessary that you gain knowledge how to work with these things. If you have any questions, just contact us at microsoft@elo.com. Thanks for watching, and I wish you a very nice rest of the week, rest of the day, and take care.
Yes, thank you very much for this great presentation, Daniel. And now I would like to tell you about our upcoming webinars in just a second. Yes. You can register via the following link on the website elo.com/webseminar. Please keep in mind you can register up to 1 hour before the webinar starts. Thank you again for attending the webinar today. I hope to see you on the next webinar, and I wish you a great day. Until next time, goodbye.